Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most explosive, most shocking pieces of journalism ever put to paper. It's a story that literally forced an entire empire to look at a horrifying truth it was trying so hard to pretend didn't exist. Let's get right into it. I want to start with a question for you, and I want you to really think about it. How much is a child worth? I mean, what price tag could you possibly put on a young life, on their innocence, on their whole future? Well, back in the wealthiest, most powerful city on the planet in the late 19th century, this was the answer. £5. That's it. To put that in perspective, that's maybe 500 pounds today, or about $600. The price of an object sold right in the heart of the British Empire.
But here's the twist, and it's a huge one. This purchase wasn't for some sick, personal reason. The man who paid the £5 was W.T. Stead, a famous crusading newspaper editor. And this whole thing, this purchase, was actually the centerpiece of an incredible undercover investigation. It was designed to prove one shocking point, that the children of London were literally for sale. And the law? Well, the law was completely powerless to do anything about it.
Now, to really understand just how earth-shattering Stead's actions were, we have to go back. We have to understand the world he was trying to expose. You see, this was Victorian London. On the surface, it's all progress and wealth and top hats. But just underneath that respectable veneer was a dark, sprawling underworld. And this is it. This is the document that lit the fuse. The Maiden tribute of modern Babylon. W.T. Stead had been hearing these whispers, these persistent rumors about an organized trade in young girls. So he put together a small team, he called it his secret commission, and they set out to prove that these rumors were not only true, but that this was a huge, systemic, almost industrial-level operation. Stead wrote these words himself, right, in the preface. And he wasn't just talking about a few bad people doing bad things. No, he was describing, and this is his phrase, an organized system of crime and villainy, which was utterly unknown and undreamt of by the masses. He was talking about a sophisticated network, a machine operating in the shadows, that the public either had no idea about or just chose to look away from.
And his investigation was incredibly methodical. I mean, he wanted to document every single part of this dark economy, from the straightforward sale of children to the international trafficking rings that moved girls across borders. He was out to prove that this entire machine existed, from top to bottom.
But how do you prove something that people can't even imagine is real? Stead decided there was only one way to make them believe it. He had to do it himself. And that decision led to the most famous and infamous part of this whole investigation, the undercover purchase of a 13-year-old girl he gave the name Lily. You know, what's really horrifying when you look at this is how normal it all seems. This wasn't some messy back-alley deal. It was a procedure, a business transaction with clear steps. His team, with the help of a woman who used to be a procuress, followed these exact stages just to show how terrifyingly simple it was to buy a human child in the middle of London. Just listen to this exchange. It's taken right from Stead's reporting, and it is absolutely bone-chilling. The mother? She's not a grieving parent making a hard choice. She's a negotiator. She's worried about the price. And that word, certified, that meant taking her daughter for a physical exam to prove she was a virgin, which was a major selling point. And her response, so casual, "All right, I will see to it." It's just devastating. And then, the final moment. The pamphlet describes the mother getting her 5 gold coins. She apparently told her daughter to be a good girl, turned around, and just left. The deal was done. A child had been sold, not by a monster in the shadows, but by her own mother, for the price of a few weeks' rent. Okay, now this is the most critical detail in the whole sting. You have to understand this. Stead's goal was never to harm this girl. The second she was delivered, she was actually in the care of people from the Salvation Army who were working with him. She was taken to a safe house and then later sent to live safely in France, far away from all of this. The entire thing was a piece of journalistic theater designed to expose a truth so awful that no one could ignore it. So Stead had his proof. He was ready to publish, and the explosion that followed was something Victorian society had never, ever seen before. The story ran for 4 straight days, and it was graphic, it was detailed, it was sensational. Crowds literally mobbed the newspaper's offices trying to get a copy. Other papers were so scandalized they refused to even run ads for it, calling it filth. But the public was absolutely gripped. They were horrified. Stead had just ripped the polite mask right off of Victorian society. This was Stead's motto, his battle cry. He printed it right there in the pamphlet. He believed that the only cure for this kind of sickness in society was sunlight. He wanted to create what we probably call a moral panic today, a wave of public outrage so huge that Parliament would have no choice but to act. And you know what? It worked.
But the fallout from this story, well, it was complicated. It led to one of the fastest legal reforms in British history, yeah. But it also came at a huge personal cost for the guy who brought the whole thing into the light.
And here is the great, unbelievable paradox of this whole story. Stead's intentions were good, but his methods, they were illegal. See, he had arranged for the girl to be taken without her father's consent, which was a key legal detail he'd missed. And the establishment, which was furious at being exposed, it struck back. The man who exposed the criminals was sent to jail as a criminal himself.
But his sacrifice was absolutely not for nothing. The public pressure from the Maiden tribute was so intense it forced immediate, real change. Before Stead's articles, the age of consent in England was a shocking 13 years old. After the scandal, it was raised to 16. The new law also gave police brand new powers to go after traffickers and protect children. The law was born directly out of the scandal he created.
I mean, look at this timeline. The speed is what's so remarkable. The articles come out in July. By August, 1 month later, the new law is on the books. Parliament had been ignoring this bill for years, but the public outcry forced their hand almost overnight. It's just a stunning example of how journalism can drive real, immediate political change.
So when all the dust settles, what do we take away from this? What is the real legacy of the Maiden tribute of modern Babylon?
Ultimately, Stead's legacy is crystal clear. He proved that a free press, when it's used with courage, can be one of the most powerful forces for change in the world. He held up a mirror to his society, and yeah, the reflection was monstrous, but it forced a reckoning that saved countless kids and changed the law forever.
And that leaves us with this final, really difficult question. W.T. Stead became a convicted criminal in order to pass a law that would protect the innocent. He absolutely believed the ends justified the means. But did they? It's a question that journalists and activists, and really all of us, are still grappling with today.